Okay, so I'm doing the sterile dressing change. So first, I'll just tell you all the supplies I'm going to use. So I have an abdominal pad, I have a polyline towel, a sterile nitrile pair of exam gloves, the 4x4 sponges. I'm just going to use this as a Q-tip, but it's not really a Q-tip. The boat gauze sponges. I would need normal saline. I'm just going to use this as normal saline because I don't have any. I need a pen. I would need tape, and I would need regular gloves or clean gloves, and I think that would be everything. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So first I would wash my hands and gather all of my supplies, and then I would introduce myself to the patient and let them know what procedure I'm going to be doing, and then check to make sure there's an order for getting the sterile dressing change, and then I would medicate the patient if needed, if they're in any pain. And then, so after I have washed my hands and checked all of that, I will put on my clean gloves. I don't have any of those, but I would just put on my clean gloves, and then I would come and assess the wound. So I'm just pretending the wound's right here. So I would start pulling off the previous dressing, just noting how it looks and how the previous healthcare professional put on the dressing. So I would start pulling that off and putting it into the trash. Just being careful to pull off all the tape around it. And then as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the wound to see what it looks like and assessing it for like color, asking the patient if they're in any pain. Yeah, just what it looks like, any drainage, anything like that. So I am, just assessing it, but moving quickly because we don't want to leave the wound open for too long. So yes, so we're going to do all that, throw it in the trash, and then I would be, throw it in the trash, and then that's when I would take off my clean gloves and then wash my hands again. And then we're gonna start to actually do our sterile dressing change. So I would, after my gloves are off and I've washed my hands, I would grab my towel, and everything's gonna be opened away from me and touching the outside of packages. So I'm gonna open this away from me and pull it out holding the edges. So that's spread out down here. There we go. Okay. I wouldn't want to cough over this, but, and then you wouldn't be talking or coughing or anything like that over all of this, because it's sterile. So then we're gonna just open the rest of our supplies. So I have the abdominal pad, the 4x4. I'm gonna go ahead and do the 4x4. This is also opened away from me. Everything's gonna be opened away. Oh, that was wrong, I'm sorry. So I would open this away and you can't touch it. So I would just drop it onto my pad and throw this away. I would open my abdominal pad and then just sit it over here so I can grab that. Open my boat of gauze sponges. So you would just open it. This side is you can touch, and then just open it like this. Sit it over here. What else? I have my Q-tip. I would open that up. I'm not going to open this though because it's not the Q-tip, but you would open it and sit it over here. And then my, let's see. Saline. I have my normal saline. I would open this up. I'm gonna open up a new bottle. So since I'm opening a new bottle, I would put my name and the date and time of opening that. And then I would name, date, and time. I'm trying to think of what's next. Then I believe after I've opened my normal saline and put my date and time, I would pour this into my boat of gauze to make these wet. And then I would wash my hands and then, or no, sorry. I would pour that in the boat of gauze and then I would get open my sterile gloves to get started with the procedure because I don't think I can turn my back on this. I don't go wash my hands. So I would sorry, I have a small space here. Okay, so I would open up my sterile gloves, just touching the outsides. This would be on another part of the table, not on the pad, but since I just have limited space, I'm doing it on my pad. And just touching the outsides of the plastic. And you would be using your dominant hand first, so mine is right. So I'd grab the right, touching the outside of the glove. Well, there we go. There we go. So I'm touching only the outside. And you pull that on. And then now that I have these on, I can actually touch the other glove with this one. So I'm touching the outside of the bag. Putting my other ones on. So I have my sterile gloves on. This wouldn't be in my way, but I'm just gonna move this over. This wouldn't have been here either. So we just have our sterile field now. Okay, so we have already taken everything out of the wound. So now we are just grabbing our Q-tip, and we're going to be measuring the depth of the wound first. Then we're going to toss this Q-tip in the trash. And then okay, so then we're going to the depth of the wound. Okay, so yes, then we're going to be using our boat of gauze. So we're going to, oh, there is one step I forgot. Before I put on these sterile gloves, while I was getting everything prepped, I was supposed to get my tape and put it on the table so I could already have tape strands out so that we could just tape it on the patient. So I forgot to do that. So we're going to be, we have our wound here, and we're going to grab some of the, this is the boat gauze. So I'm opening this up. And we want to squeeze off some of the wetness if it's really damp, because we want it to just be damp and moist, not super soaked. And then we put this in the, after we've spread it out and gotten it prepared, we put it in the left hand. And then we grab a Q-tip with this hand. And then we're putting this in the wound. And we're going to be packing it into the wound. Nice and gently, not like stabbing it in there. So just packing that into the wound. Okay, so once that's nice and packed into the wound, we're throwing this Q-tip away. So just throw that away in the trash can. And then we're gonna grab our 4x4s. So I'm gonna grab one of my 4x4s and put it, like, I don't know if you can see this, but putting one right here. And then another one right here on top. And then we're going to grab our abdominal pad. This is like, I'm just showing it to you, but I would have grabbed it like where it's, I can just grab that. And then opening it carefully on the edges. And you want to put the blue side up, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, so blue side facing up like this. You want to put it on your wound. And then you're going to start taping. So I would grab my tape that was already out and start. Oh, that was a bad piece of tape. Hold on a second. Get long pieces and do it across. Across. And so I would do that all the way down. And then kind of create like a window pane. And then do it. Do it up like this. Okay. So I would do that on both sides. All the way down and then on both sides. And then I would, let's see, tape. Oh, and then I would grab one of these pieces of tape and I would, I don't know where my pen went. I would use my pen and I would write down, I think it's my initials, the date and the time, and I would just get that piece of tape and put it on the side of my dressing so that the physician can see who did the last dressing. And then at that point, I'm pretty much done with my actual dressing of the wound, so I would go ahead and start cleaning up. So there we go. I would start cleaning up. So I would just be putting everything away. putting it in the trash, things that were dirty and around the area. And then I would, once I got everything cleaned up, I would take off my gloves, place them in the trash. This would all be gone. And then I would wash my hands. I would, at this point, assess the patient's pain to see how they dealt with the wound dressing and if there was any issues or any pain. I would then document this information. So I would document like how the patient tolerated the procedure, what the wound looked like throughout the whole process, and yeah, that should be everything.